chiropractic in general is based on three principles. Number one, we recognize that the body is designed to be a self-healing, self-regulating organism. It's designed that way. So if you cut yourself, your body knows how to put it back together. True or untrue? True, right? Principle number one. Principle number two is that the brain, spinal cord, and all the nerves of the body is the master system. It's literally that system's job to bring life and function to every tissue, organ, and cell. So for instance, if we cut all the nerves to your heart, what would happen to your heart? Right, it dies. Cut all the nerves to your eyes, what happens to your eyes? Your gallbladder, your arms, your legs, your skin, doesn't matter. All body parts, every single one, needs proper nerve supply in order to live and function properly. The third principle of chiropractic is therefore any interference in the nervous system short circuits the control that the brain needs to have over the body, and the body malfunctions. When the body malfunctions, now it becomes weak and susceptible to disease and breakdown. It becomes weak and susceptible because it cannot rebalance and respond appropriately to our physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, and we start going down the disease process. You with me? Okay? So any interference in the nervous system. What interferes with the nervous system, again, is stress. According to the Center of Disease Control, 93% of all doctor's visits are stress-related. Of all doctor visits, any kind of specialty, okay? And I think it's higher than that. So, all right, and like we said, there's three kinds: physical, chemical, and emotional. All right? Now, stress accumulates little by little over our lifetime. These physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, and most of it is emotional, as far as I could see in our practice, accumulates first in the spine and nervous system. That's what accumulates first. So you ever notice when people get stressed out, their back and neck can get tight? Right? Oh, I'm so stressed. Happens to everybody whether they feel it or not. And what happens is, as that stress occurs, because we're stronger on one side of the body than the other, as that stress occurs, it pulls unevenly over time. Now, you're not going to walk around like that, so on the outside you straighten up, but the inside stays twisted. And little by little, over our lifetime, our physical, chemical, and emotional stresses does that on the inside. Starts to damage our spine, the discs, the ligaments, the joints. And worse, starts to affect the nervous system. And now that's how stress then can start to cause heart, lung, skin, anxiety, depression, all kinds of conditions. You with me? Stress accumulates primarily in the brain and the spinal cord, which is the central nervous system. And what happens is that stress then, right, the three principles of chiropractic: body heals itself, nervous system is a master system, any interference short circuits the control that the brain needs to have over the body, and the body malfunctions. Cannot heal and adapt. All right? So what happens is when there's interference in the brain and spinal cord, it disconnects the brain and body. And so if the brain and body are disconnected, you cannot have optimal health. Can you? Think about it. Makes sense, right? Because first of all, we're not in a state of wholeness. We're fragmented. All right? If the mind is not functioning optimally, can your body function optimally? No. If the body is not functioning optimally, can your mind be fully healthy? No. They both must be clear and connected in order for us to have optimal health. It's impossible for it to happen any other way. Impossible. Okay, because remember, we're body, mind, and spirit. They all need to be integrated. And the body and mind needs to be clear and connected, okay, in order for spirit to come through, in order for that spirit part of us to be manifest. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. You know, if we're a body, mind, and spirit, more accurately, I see it, is that we're a body and a spirit. And the mind and the nervous system is the connector between the two realms. Because thoughts are creative. Right? In fact, everything in this room, everything we can see, at one time started off as a thought that became manifest. Right? At one time, This chair never existed. Someone had an idea, okay? Someone had an idea, put it down on paper, started setting things in motion, and wow, look, I have a real chair now, a physical manifestation of an idea. Everything in this room is the same thing, including me and you, okay? So let me explain. Well, if we go back to the formation of our bodies, right, we all started out as two half cells, one from mom, one from dad. These two half cells that we all started out as came together to form one cell that we all started out as. That one cell then in our mom's belly, right, started to replicate itself until it was a batch of all same cells. And then the very first thing to be created was the brain and spinal cord, at that time called the notochord. Pretty cool, right? So it took this batch of all same cells, right? And the spinal cord was created, the notochord at the time, and it took this batch of all same cells and started to turn some into heart, some into lungs, arms, legs, and formed the baby. What we don't realize is that that system stays on the job when we're born, constantly recreating us throughout our lives. That's why if you cut yourself, your body knows how to put it back together. Our bodies are constantly recreating until the day that the nervous system turns off. Right? What do you call that when the nervous system turns off? What's that called? Death. Okay? Because when the nervous system turns off, all body function stops. Like that. All body function stops on a dime. And then the body disintegrates back into the elements of the earth. Wait a minute. My nervous system is turned on, okay? My body's functioning and healing and coordinating and adapting and carrying on the process of life. When my nervous system turns off, my body stops functioning and begins to disintegrate back into the elements of the earth. That means that the only reason why my hand is a hand right now is because my nervous system is telling it to be. If my brain turns off, my hand stops functioning as a hand and disintegrates back into the elements of the earth. You get it? So what's holding it together is, did you know that people under hypnosis, you can touch them with a pencil eraser, okay, and say, I've just touched you with a lit cigarette, and they'll blister. Okay? People with multiple personalities. In one personality, they have green eyes. In one personality, they have blue eyes. In one personality, they have these conditions medically documented. In that personality, they have different conditions, including things like cancer and things like that. Whoa. Okay? An athlete, right? Athletes who are in a cast for 8 weeks, if they did nothing but stay in the cast for 8 weeks, you take the cast off, there's going to be atrophy. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. But if the athlete visualizes, in the mind, just visualizes that he's using it and stuff, when they take the cast off, there'll be minimal to no atrophy. Crazy, huh? Thoughts are creative. And the mind ultimately creates our bodies and our lives. We know that the body-mind are intimately connected because people can give themselves hives, people can give themselves ulcers, right? So I want to read something from Dr. Bernie Siegel. Dr. Bernie Siegel was an oncologist. He wrote a book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles, and what he found was that a certain personality type always beat cancer. It didn't matter the treatment, it didn't matter the diagnosis or what kind of cancer they had. What he found was it was a personality type that would beat cancer. And then when he did research around the world and through, and over time, he found that many people found the same thing. And he wrote a book, and he started studying it. And so he wrote, a vigorous immune system can overcome cancer if it is not interfered with. Right? Remember we said what stress interferes with the nervous system. And emotional growth toward greater self-acceptance and fulfillment helps keep the immune system strong. The simple truth is, happy people generally don't get sick. One's attitude towards oneself is the single most important factor in healing and staying well. According to Dr. Selman, He says that thoughts are broken down into 3 categories, and they are intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. So Dr. Selman says, thinking and beliefs are not entirely cerebral, not just IQ as we think with our heads, but also with our emotions and our bodies, our spirits, our values, our hopes, and our unifying sense and meaning. He goes on to say, spiritual intelligence is about having a direction in life and being able to heal ourselves of all resentment. It is thinking of ourselves of an expression of a higher reality. Our spiritual intelligence can develop our capacity for vision, meaning, and value, our dreams, our happiness, our intuition, our beliefs, and subsequent actions. If we learn how to rely on our spiritual intelligence, we shall become less fearful, more accustomed to relying on ourselves, more willing to face the difficult and uncomfortable, and more ready to live at the edge. The edge is the boundary of chaos and order, between the known and unknown, between creativity and self-organization. All right, it is the frontier for information creation and the place of discovery.